What's up guys, GameNut here and welcome back to my NFL regular season predictions. Week 16 now of the season, man. Things are coming down to the wire. Just 2 weeks left to go. It's going to be so sad once football is over, man. But of course, we're taking a look at our predictions from last week, man. I know it was a little bit of a weird week last week. I obviously didn't get the full video out like I would have wanted to, but you know, we still got the predictions and you guys can see how well we ended up doing. 12-4. Once again, 10 plus games guessed correctly, man. I feel like this is definitely our best year as in terms of our predictions, man. I feel like I haven't gotten this many weeks of at least 10 plus games guessed correctly, so I definitely think this is going to be our all-time record for our best season of guessing games, I guess you could say. But for Madden 21 on the other hand side, 8-8 record for them, 50-50 once again. It's safe to say that we're going to be beating them in the overall record once again. I think we've done that successfully every single year, so that's always a plus. But definitely some weird games last week though, man, that unfortunately we didn't get to really talk about. I mean, well, obviously we can talk about the outcomes that happen now, but I mean, the Jets somehow beating the Rams last week, getting their first win of the season. I mean, that blew my mind. I don't even understand. The Bengals took down the Steelers. I mean, I had a feeling before the game. In my brain, I was literally like, imagine the Bengals somehow win this game. I've been telling you guys, Pittsburgh, they've not been a great team this year, man. They're starting to fall off now at the end of the season, and I'm loving every second of it. So it was an interesting week of football last week for sure, man. But with 2 weeks left to go, hopefully our predictions, we can continue on with at least these 10 plus games every single week. Alright, and moving on into our schedule now for week 16. You guys know we had ourselves a pretty eventful weekend of football, man. 4 straight days of games. That's always pretty cool to see. And of course, we had our first one on Friday, which was our Christmas game. Which, by the way, late Merry Christmas to those of you guys that do celebrate it, man. Hopefully you guys had a fun and a good holiday. But, of course, our games, like I said, the 4 of them we've already had played up until this point. Because, you know, I record these, you know, it's once again late Saturday night. I guess you could say, early Sunday morning or something like that. Anyways, we had 4 games on the schedule that have already happened. Of course, I'm just gonna throw all 4 of these up on the screen for you guys real quick, and we'll just run through them. But as you guys can see, our first 4 games on the schedule, we started off pretty solid, man. I'm content with this. 3 out of 4 games to guess correctly. Of course, first on the list, we had ourselves the Minnesota Vikings taking on the New Orleans Saints. Man, do these guys have some history, especially in these past couple of years. The playoffs, you guys know the Vikings have just had the Saints number, man. They're able to get to them. But of course, we're picking the Saints, man, because it's regular season. I mean, the Saints are a great team this year. I didn't see them really blowing this. You know, it's a home game. It's Christmas, man. They're on the verge of trying to clinch that with number 1 seed. And I didn't see them falling to the Vikings once again, man. And Alvin Kamara, I mean, just insane, bro. 6 rushing touchdowns. 6, dude. I mean, that was history. We all got to witness history, man. It's absolutely insane. And to think about it, that he could have had 7 rushing touchdowns in that game. 7. But they had to give one to Mr. Irrelevant Taysom Hill. That irritates me, man. I hate seeing that guy on the field whenever he's there for the Saints, man. I don't know. I just feel like there's so many other things they could do. I'm not going to get into all that, but still, absolutely insane day from Alvin Kamara. So we got the Saints game guessed correctly. Moving on, Buccaneers. Of course, we're going to be rolling with these guys. Once again, another team that's on the verge of trying to make the playoffs, man, which obviously they were able to clinch that spot now. Buccaneers will be in the postseason. But the Lions, man, they've had their struggles this year. You guys know they've had some coaching issues within this past week as well. They're moving some things around, and it's not been a great time there for the Detroit Lions. And like I said, because the Bucs are on the verge of the playoffs, it was kind of hard to envision them losing this game with it, you know, them being on the cups right there of being able to clinch that spot. So Tom Brady, he got it done, only needed to play one half of football to do so. Up next for our third game, we of course had ourselves the San Francisco 49ers taking on the Arizona Cardinals, a divisional matchup, and this is the one game that we did get wrong. I decided to choose the Cardinals, man. I definitely thought they were going to come out on top. Again, they're one of those teams where they're right on the cups of trying to make that postseason, man. I definitely thought that the Cardinals looked like they might have been able to squeak in and be a wild card team this year, man, but after these past few weeks, and especially now dropping this game against the Niners, I think that those chances are slowly falling away from Arizona, man. But I don't know. I definitely thought this was a winnable game against the 49ers, who have struggled a lot this year, man. They've obviously got their issues. They've had plenty of injuries. They've had a rough season this year. There's no denying that, but you got to give it to San Francisco, man. You know, despite all of the issues that they've had this year, I feel like they've, you know, been within close contention of every game that they've played. even with all of these injuries and missing pieces that they've got, and they know every now and again they can still come out with a win, which they were able to do so here against the Cardinals, ruining their playoff chances. But then, of course, last but not least, we had ourselves the Dolphins going to take on the Raiders. This was a very important battle for the AFC playoff, picture, what's going to happen and all that. And we did, thankfully, decide to pick the Dolphins. Obviously, I was, being a Ravens fan, rooting for the Raiders to win this game. But I didn't see it happening, man. Miami, they're kind of solid, and the Raiders just, they've slowly starting to fall off a little bit as well from earlier on in that midpoint of the season. They had a solid record, in the middle of the year, I'm pretty sure. But again, like I said, just falling off these past couple of weeks. The defense looks terrible. I mean, they barely beat the Jets a couple weeks ago, so I mean that just kind of ruined all of my hopes for the Raiders of being able to do anything, man. So they got close, though. It was a pretty crazy game. Came down to the wire. That last couple of minutes there in the first quarter, or fourth quarter, was absolutely insane. But Miami able to clutch up. They got themselves that dub. Again, further moving on their chances of making the playoffs this year. So the time has now come to talk about our Sunday games, and first on the schedule we've got ourselves another very important battle in the AFC, which is going to determine some stuff in that AFC playoff picture, man. We've got ourselves the Indianapolis Colts, now at 10-4, going to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers, who now sit at 11-3, man. I love to see it. Keep racking up them losses on Pittsburgh. I've been trying to tell you guys, do you finally believe me now? What I've been saying this whole year, that they're not that good of a team. They're frauds. They've had countless games this season where the refs have literally handed them wins. Like, if the referees did not just do everything they could to help Pittsburgh win, their record, I honestly feel like at this point could be 9-5, even 8-6 or something. They're not that solid of a team, man, and I'm so glad that they're finally starting to fall apart. I love to see it. For this game, we're obviously going with the Colts, though, man, because they're a hot team right now. They've definitely gotten better in these past couple of weeks, which is always good for a team, especially with postseason right around the corner. Their defense has been amazing this year, and I could not imagine the Colts having any struggle against this Pittsburgh offense right now, because they've just been terrible these past couple of weeks. So obviously, I think right now, because of the Ravens playoff picture, we actually want the Colts to lose, but I can't root for Pittsburgh, man. It's not in me. I mean, I hope for the Colts to lose, but I'm not rooting for Pittsburgh. But I'm still going to be realistic, though, and I don't think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to win, and I think it is going to be the Colts, which obviously is going to hurt my Ravens' chances even more of making it to the postseason. Next game up, we've got ourselves the 4-10 Atlanta Falcons going to take on the Kansas City Chiefs, sitting at 13-1, the number one seed in the AFC. I'm pretty sure it's going to be locked and loaded for those guys to be that number one seed at this point. And it's pretty clear we're going to be picking them to win this game. I feel like Patrick Mahomes could end up having a pretty solid game against the Falcons, man, because they've got one of the worst defenses, I believe, and especially secondary-wise. I feel like Mahomes is going to have a pretty solid day, man. I feel like he's might carve up that defense for sure, but I don't think there's any question the Chiefs should definitely be winning this game. Next up, we've got ourselves the Chicago Bears, who now sit at 7-7 on this season. Another team that is right there in the hunt, trying to secure themselves a wild card spot. They are taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars, now sitting at 1-13. Honestly, I don't think that Chicago's obviously a fantastic team. If they are able to somehow make it to the playoffs, I can't see them going very far, man. They've been a struggling team this year. Obviously, they started off okay, but they won against some bad teams, and they've been pretty inconsistent, man. And again, like I said, I don't think they're going to make it far into the postseason if they can squeak it in there. I am going to pick them to win this game, though. But that's only because of the fact they're playing the Jags, man. I mean, come on, they're 1-13. I mean, if the Bears can't beat a 1-13 team when they're literally trying to hopefully make it to the postseason, I don't know, man. I'd lose a lot of hope for that team. Look at the Cincinnati Bengals, man. Now 3 wins on the season after beating the Steelers last week, man. I mean, that was just the best thing ever to see. A 2-10-1 Bengals team beating an 11-2 Steelers team. I mean, it's craziness, man. Literally, that was the best outcome to see last week, man. Juju, you need to maybe go full-time on TikTok, because the football thing ain't working out for you. Anyways, the Bengals this week, they are going to take on the Houston Texans. They are at 4-10 on the season, and I think we're going to roll with Houston. I know that the Bengals, they got that crazy win last week, man, but the Steelers have just been playing awful. It was nice for the Bengals to see them come out with the win, but I don't think the Bengals are just going to start, showing that they've got all the pieces found and whatnot, and then win these last few games of the season, and then people start talking about them. I mean, they're going to figure some things out, but against this matchup here against the Texans, I feel like Deshaun Watson and his team, they're going to be able to get it done here. The now 5-9 New York Giants are coming to town, taking on my Baltimore Ravens. We now sit at 9-5 on the year, man. I told you guys we had to win out for the rest of the year, and so far so good. My Ravens are getting things done. The team is definitely starting to look a lot better as well, man. I feel like things are starting to click, man, and I don't know if they let us in the playoffs. I think Lamar is definitely at least going to get one playoff win, man. If that happens, I hope it does. I just want people to shut the hell up about that he hasn't won a playoff game, because it is just so disgustingly annoying. That is the only thing they hold over his head when he's played in the league for 2 years, man. It's crazy to me. But obviously for this matchup, man, my Ravens should easily be able to come out on top, man. Like I said, we're on that quest for winning out, trying to make it to the postseason. There's no way we lose to a very weak Giants team at home. Well, this is going to be a very interesting game now, fellas. We've got ourselves the Cleveland Browns now sitting at 10-4 on the season, going to take on the New York Jets, who finally did it, boys. They got their first win of the season. Congrats to all my Jets fans out there, even though I'm pretty sure you guys hated the fact that you won, because that ruined taking away your #1 draft pick, which is just, it's crazy, man. New York is just, it's hilarious. The thing, though, about this game that we got to talk about, fellas, obviously, is the fact that the Cleveland Browns now have no wide receivers. They all got put on the COVID list, so going into this game, the Browns are wide receiver-less. It's insanity. So, going into this game, I would have easily said the Browns are getting the win, man. But now where they have an offense where they have no receivers, at least no experienced receivers, dude, I don't know. I'm thinking I'm going to roll with the New York Football Jets to get the win over the Browns, man. And I think my man Joe Flacco is going to come in and take down the Browns to help out his old team, my Baltimore Ravens, so we can move further up and potentially take that spot from Cleveland, man. It would just be poetic. Could you imagine Joe Flacco starting for the Jets, beats the Browns so we can help his old team Ravens get into the playoffs? I literally would cry. Next game up, we've got ourselves the Carolina Panthers, now at 4-10 on the season, going to take on the Washington football team, sitting at 6-8. Ron Rivera, of course, this is going to be a homecoming game for him. I guess I shouldn't say homecoming because he's not traveling to Carolina, but he's playing against his old team, so same thing. You guys get what I'm saying. I definitely am going to be going with the football team to win this game. However, the Panthers, they've been kind of decent this year, man. It's kind of weird to think about. Imagine if Christian McCaffrey, didn't have an injury-plagued year, and was playing for the Panthers. I honestly think Carolina, they would have been a solid team this year. I'd say they could be maybe at like 9 wins at this point of the season, man, because they've done pretty well without him. I mean, just imagine if they had their star running back. It's kind of crazy. But for this matchup, again, like going back onto it, I think we're gonna have to go with Washington, because again, they're now trying to fight for that division, man. They're literally about to win it, which I definitely think at this point it is going to be the Washington football team who does win their division in the NFC East. And like I said, man, Ron Rivera playing against his old team that he used to coach against, kind of like, the storybook writes itself. I couldn't really see him losing this game when they're on the verge of winning the division. So, I think we're going to be rolling with the football team for this one. In AFC West matchup now, we've got ourselves the Denver Broncos going to take on the LA Chargers. Both teams sitting at 5-9 on the season. You guys know, obviously, this game has no implications on the playoffs. Not going to affect it whatsoever. Just going to be a nice, fun football game to watch, a division battle. And I think for this one, man, I'm going to have to roll with the Chargers. It's just because of the fact, man, that I know I've been pretty high on Justin Herbert this year, man. He just looks like he's going to be solid. I don't know. He looked great here in his rookie year, and I think, after this offseason, once they build some things, obviously draft some pieces and, all that nonsense, I think the Chargers could be pretty solid next year, man, and definitely be up in that division. Maybe, potentially take that number 2 spot away from the Raiders. But for this game, man, again, like I said, they're still the better team than the Broncos, I feel like, at this point. So I think we're going to be going with the Chargers to get themselves that win. A division matchup now in the NFC East. We've got ourselves the Philadelphia Eagles at 4-9-1, going to take on the Dallas Cowboys, who are now at 5-9. Hey man, I told you guys after they played my Ravens in that primetime game a couple weeks ago, I told you guys the Cowboys offense looked like it was kind of clicking a little bit, like they were figuring things out. They were slowly moving against my defense, and ever since then they've been 2-0. They've obviously been trying to figure some things out here at the end of the season, which I do think in some crazy football world, I think the Cowboys could still end up winning the division at this point, and they'd be into the postseason, which would be insane to see, man. But For this game, I don't think they're going to come out on top, man. I think I'm going to roll with the Eagles for this one. I feel like Philly's going to try and play upset for the Cowboys, man, and make sure that they don't have any sort of chance making it to the postseason. And Jalen Hurts, looks like he might be the guy there in Philly now. I definitely think that they should move on from Carson Wentz and just continue on with Hurts at this point, man. Just get rid of Carson. He's not a good quarterback, man. Just stop it. I do think for this game, though, Jalen Hurts, maybe he'll have a pretty solid game. It's division, so of course, like I always say this, the games are played tougher. They're used to playing each other. They know each other's schemes, so because of that fact, it's going to give the Cowboys a little bit of a tougher time coming out on top, even though they're right there trying to potentially win the division, of course, at this point. So like I said, I think Eagles, I think they're going to be the guys that come out on top. Division matchup now in the NFC West. We've got ourselves the LA Rams going to take on the Seattle Seahawks. Rams at 9-5, Seahawks at 10-4. Obviously, you guys know if the Seahawks lose, the Rams would be tied with them at this point, but I'm not sure who would take first place in the division at that point. But I think for this game, I'm still going to be picking the Seahawks, man, because I definitely think with the year that we've had for both of these teams, I think Seattle deserves to win the division and definitely not the Rams, because first of all, the fact they lost to the Jets, that right there just takes away your right of being able to win the division with just insane. I still can't believe the Rams somehow lost to the Jets last week, man. Just insane. But anyways, like I said, man, the Seahawks, obviously, they're a solid team this year. They're pushing for the playoffs, man, and I think they definitely deserve to win the division at this point. And going against the Rams, they're used to playing each other. It's a home team. I definitely think LA could come out on top, but I've got to roll with Seattle for this one. And now for our Sunday night football, we've got ourselves the Tennessee Titans, who sit at 10-4, tied with the Colts. Of course, it's going to be interesting to see which one of those guys ends up coming out on top of the division. They're going to take on the Green Bay Packers this week at home. They are sitting at now 11-3 on the year. For this matchup, man, we're obviously going with Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers, he's my MVP, man, okay? He's just been playing phenomenal this year. They're obviously, again, a team in the NFC. They're trying to battle for that #1 seed. If not, they're going to be #2, man. And, they're trying to make that Super Bowl run. And even though the Titans, they've been kind of decent this year. They've been solid. I just feel like with this matchup, man, they're going to struggle against the Packers. And I just feel like Green Bay isn't going to struggle. Like, I feel like they're going to be able to easily get this win, man. And, I'm definitely hoping for the Titans to lose, because I'm not 100% sure. Because, again, I really haven't been looking too far into it with the playoff scenarios. But I think if the Titans lose, maybe that could help out my Ravens a little bit. Not too sure, but regardless of that situation, I still think Green Bay is the better team and going to beat the Titans here. And finally, last but not least, we have ourselves Monday Night Football, a division matchup with the Buffalo Bills, now at 11-3 on the season, going to take on the New England Patriots, who sit at 6-8. Obviously, for this game, man, I think we are going to be rocking with Buffalo. They've been a pretty solid team this year, man. Definitely well-deserved. They got themselves that division secured, which is awesome to see, man. First time in a very long time for Buffalo. So it's just really cool to see, man, for Josh Allen being able to do that for that team. They've been playing really well. It's nice seeing a young quarterback flourish, man, and I think Josh Allen, man, I'm pretty sure I've said it last year. I've definitely said it before, but I thought Josh Allen was going to be a great quarterback for the Bills, for the foreseeable future. And, he's living up to that so far, carrying him to the postseason here in this season, man. But for this matchup, I definitely feel like there is some sort of world, where the Patriots could come out on top, take down the Bills, and surprise them, because, it's division. They're used to playing each other, but in terms of this matchup, the Bills are obviously the better football team this year, so I'm going to be rocking with them to get the win. But there you guys have it, man. There are my predictions for week 16 of the season, man. Still can't believe we're at the end of the football year. There's just 1 week of regular season left to go. It's going to be so sad once football is gone. I swear, man. Every year, I just feel like football goes by so quickly. It's like once we're at this point where we're at weeks 15, 16, 17, I'm always sitting there like, where did the football season go, man? It's just crazy. But I hope you guys enjoyed, man. Make sure you enjoy football today and, of course, next week, because there's not that many games left, man. So watch as much as you can, because it's going to be gone before you know it. But anyways, once again, I hope you guys enjoyed, man. If you did, be sure to put a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. I will catch you all in the next one. Take it easy, guys. Peace out.